welcome back to No Fly Zone. We are doing part 2 of the Large Hadron Collider and Mandela Effect. This part 2 is going to be a little more interesting because we're going to be going into not so much the science as in part 1, but more the theories and why people are starting to believe these theories. Again, I have Casey, my co-host and sister, and then we also still have Rachel to finish out this part 2 with us. Welcome back. I feel like I just saw you.
Yeah, so long.
Yeah, we're back. We're back. The concept of the multiverse. Remember how we left off on that on our last episode, which was super science heavy, I know. Thank you for bearing with us, sticking with us, rolling with it. We tried to dumb it down as much as possible, but I don't know if that was a success or not. Like, we don't think you guys are dumb, but we're dumb. I'm dumb. Brett's like, he's like a single cell amoeba that's still flopping around, begging to be put out of its misery. But in general, I like things to be dumbed down enough that I can understand what the fuck we're talking about. We talked about the alternate dimensions that the Hadron Collider may or may not have thrust us into without our knowledge. Definitely without consent. That's a lawsuit. Okay. One of the biggest conspiracy theories surrounding this is based on something that you may have heard of called the Mandela Effect. And that is enough to kind of warrant its whole own episode in the sense that there are so many examples of this that we wanted to make sure to hit the really good ones, talk about them, talk about the psychology, because scientists definitely don't buy into this being a real thing. Definitely they don't buy into parts of our reality getting sucked into alternate dimensions. So they came up with some psychology for that, which we're going to hit on because I love that shit. So this has been a strange kind of cool phenomenon of particular discussion over the last decade. This term, the Mandela Effect, was coined by paranormal researcher Fiona Broome, and it occurs when a large group of people remembers an event or a detail that never actually occurred or existed. But how does that happen? And why are so many of us remembering things incorrectly?
I'm glad you asked, Casey, because according to neuropsychologist Aaron Bonner Jackson, PhD, our brains may be creating false memories that cause this collective misremembering. Here's how the Mandela Effect works and a few examples that just might blow your mind.
In 2009, Broome shared a very clear memory of former South African President Nelson Mandela dying while in prison in the 1980s. What she remembered, however, wasn't true. So Mandela served 27 years in prison before being released in 1990. He then went on to serve as the first president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999, and then he died in 2013. On its own, the instance of misremembering could be summed up as minor confusion, but surprisingly, Broome discovered she wasn't the only one. Many others online had also remembered Mandela's death incorrectly and believed he had died many years before his actual death. Thus, the term Mandela Effect was coined. You got any examples of them, though?
Yeah,
Brett is missing his cue.
I am missing papers out of my outline, I think, because...
Damn it!
It should have printed in order.
Have nice things.
I know.
So, any Google, I'll take. To the rescue as usual. It's me, Casey. Any quick Google search will unleash a motherload of examples for the Mandela Effect. Most often, they occur in reference to pop culture and or historically significant events. So here are a few that stand out, but there are thousands, if not hundreds. Get it? Anyways, so I didn't even know if we should touch on this or leave it out, but I feel like we have to because it's the first one that people want to talk about. The JFK bullshit, okay? It's possibly the weirdest and most hotly debated out of all of these.
You could do 12 episodes about JFK. Like, each conspiracy
so much.
Has its own story.
That's its own
Yeah.
That's its own Pandora's box.
Absolutely.
There's so much. There's so much here. So, again, I want to get this out of the way because it's the big one, then we'll get into all the others. So, you know who JFK is, okay? 35th president, assassinated on November 22nd, 1963, as he's riding through Daley Plaza in a presidential motorcade, okay? Riding in the car. Simple shit, right? The assassination of JFK happened shortly after he gave a speech to the public about secret societies, which led a shit ton of people, as they do, to start crafting conspiracy theories. And a lot of these like to claim that his assassination was potentially tied into some pretty shady business. And that the information then released to the public was all just smoke and mirrors to cover up this secret conspiracy, okay? So this is where the Mandela effect comes in. JFK wasn't the only passenger in this presidential motorcade, but how many passengers were in that vehicle? This should be a very, very simple answer, okay? This should be a history thing. Some people remember now that there were 4 people in this motorcade vehicle. However, as pointed out by a user on the Mandela Effect wiki forums, which is a thing that exists, I found out, there were actually 6 people in the vehicle. Some say it was 3 rows with 6 seats. Others recall 2 rows and 4 seats. So this is a really hotly debated one, and nobody can seem to agree on this. And I did find a side-by-side photo showing both, and I'll throw that up on the socials for you, but it's weird. Here's the real little detail that kind of drives this one home. Apparently, if you go to a JFK tour in Dallas, Texas, you will see a replica car of the one that JFK was in at the time of his assassination, and this vehicle has 4 seats. All other footage now available shows the car to be a larger 4-door version with the 6 seats.
That's a mind meld.
Yeah.
Another example is the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty, of course, is on Liberty Island, which is the most logical island for it to be standing on. But so many people believe that it was standing on Ellis Island. There are some creepy Google Earth images, more than likely doctored, without the Statue of Liberty on the island. Another phenomenon is that people believe that they have walked up to the torch in recent years, which in fact the torch has been closed since 1916. That was news to me. Like I thought like that. I've flown over New York. I've been like in the airport. I've never actually been like walking around New York City really. I did not know that's been closed since 1916. Like that kind of blew my mind.
We are all students of history today, and I love that we are making things super clear by also including fake history. Love that.
Oh, wait a minute.
Definitely won't be a problem later for me.
So the torch has been closed for over 100 years at this point?
Over 100 years. Yes. Wild, right? I also didn't know that.
Been to New York multiple times. My parents, like my whole family's from like upstate New Jersey, so like it's just across the pond there. And I would swear that the torch wasn't closed when we were there. I would, like, that doesn't sound right.
You were in another universe.
Yeah,
you were in
that
another universe
doesn't.
at that time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that I could someday go to New York and go up to the torch. Like, I still thought that. But I'm stupid.
Like, I don't know. I think we're so used to everything having closed after like COVID that I feel like we're all gonna remember like things have always been closed. I don't know what you mean. Like we've never been able to do anything.
I know. I feel like an old woman. I'm like, remember when Walmart used to be 24 hours? And then everyone's like, that was so long ago.
Yeah, right.
It was back in the day. It was last decade. That joke never gets old.
Well, I think I think one of the most popular effects that people talk about is the Berenstein or Berenstain Bears. It could be because of the cursive font choice that threw everybody for a loop. But a lot of people who grew up on this very beloved childhood story collection remember the Berenstein or Stein Bears. The family's name is actually spelled with an A and not an E, making it Berenstain Bears, which I'm calling bullshit. And no, I haven't checked my daughter's book yet.
This is like the second most debated one.
Yeah.
Like, everyone jumps on this shit.
But there's that video.
I remember the Steen with an E.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's how I remember it too. But there was a guy that said he had like a portal in the middle of his house, And the video shows like he goes in with the book into one room and it's Berenstain, and he comes out and it's Berenstein. Have you seen that video?
No.
You should look that up.
Well, I've
That's
seen
pretty
one
good.
similar where it was a guy. He had his one of those old like Nokia indestructible phones from like the early two
Oh
thousands,
yeah.
and yeah, the brick Nokia, and he had well, it was a little more newer than that because it had the camera, like one of the first ones when the camera was on a phone, and he had like one of those hypnotic liquor bottles, and on the shelf you could see on the shelf behind where the bottle was saying it was H apostrophe P for hypnotic, and then on his Nokia, a picture he took at some point in the 2000s, it was hypnotic with a HYP, and it was the same bottle, like in the same spot on the shelf. Like it was
Oh,
pretty
weird.
interesting looking.
I did find that video. I'm going to make sure we post that on the socials for our users.
The Berenstein
Users?
Bears.
Why did I say that? God, users. Ew.
That,
No, our listeners, followers, cult members.
One of them.
Why did I say
what
users?
video are you referencing, Casey?
The one that she was just talking about with the
The portal in this guy's house.
the Berenstain. Yeah, the portal in the house.
Okay, gotcha. That'll be interesting to see. I personally haven't seen that one yet.
I have to say, this is, he holds up the book and then puts it down out of camera view. So
Floats up another one.
Being the cynic that I am.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll post this for you guys.
Yeah, but I think
I'll
my
post this for you guys.
favorite Mandela Effect, because this one I will go to my grave with, is Sinbad never played a genie. And that is bullshit, because I remember this. I remember this. Like, I can see the images in my head. And me and many people can attest that we all distinctly remember seeing the comedian in a movie called Shazam, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, my heartthrob of second grade. But many argue that we're just confusing this with the movie Kazam, starring Shaquille O'Neal as the genie. And no, I don't think so.
This one's totally out of my wheelhouse. Like, I don't know any of those names or movies. I've never. I don't know.
I remember
not in our childhood.
Not in our childhood, but we had a. I don't even. What's the word you would use? Traumatic, horrific, dystopian.
Everybody has different, their own backgrounds and origin stories.
It's a miracle that CPS didn't either snatch us up or that we didn't become serial killers. I'm gonna continue
Wow, we just
on.
winked at the same time.
Glaze over that. All right, now I gotta gouge my eye out because I winked at the same time.
And the same eye too.
So
yep, we're related.
Hate you, can't stand you. So Tank Man, this one I do know. So I kind of tried to pick ones that I knew for me. In perhaps the most memorable moment during the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests, my dumbass wrote protests in the outline. Recollections of the event vary. Some say the unidentified man, known as Tank Man, was run over and killed, but other videos show him unharmed. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, but you should, it was literally, I think, on Time magazine cover. It's a guy with a bouquet of roses or flowers protesting the war, standing in front of the tanks in Tiananmen Square. Very famous image. What happened after this image was taken is the hotly debated topic. Brett, go ahead.
Yes, Tiananmen Square, and also I remember him dying, or maybe I've read that, or like for some reason like that's imprinted on me that
I also
whoever was
that.
standing up against the Chinese People's Army, was disposed of.
How do you say that name? Tiananmen Square?
It's Tiananmen. It's Tiananmen Square is how you say it.
Tiananmen Square. Okay, well, yep. that T Square. So this is, everyone seems to have memories of this guy being run over by the tank and straight up road killed in this situation, which is, has a much more, it's more effective that way. Like, it means something more when he got murdered when he was trying to protest the war, right? But apparently he just stepped out of the way of the tank, and the tank kept going. And I don't remember that part at all. So this one
He moved.
surprised me.
No, he didn't step out of the way. There's no way. I remember the video. He like they were gonna try to go around him, and he like
That
stepped to the side to stand in front of it. Like,
Oh, I don't remember that part. I just remember him getting like steamrolled,
yeah, well,
basically.
that's what it
this
was. They were like gonna try to move around him, so he stepped in front of it again, like moved over so they couldn't, and they just eventually just kept going, just right over him. Speed bump.
That's fucking wild, right?
Yeah.
That's weird.
well,
That one's
and
weird to me. Anyways, go ahead.
I was also going to do another thing. This is China is not in the best light for how they treat their people, but there have been reports out of China that they do executions with pavement rollers, and they start your feet to basically prolong the punishment or the death sentence.
Is it too late to change my answer on my ideal way to die?
You were gonna say that the whole time. I was like, it's coming.
I was like, yes. I, however, would prefer a much more what's the word? I'll just violent excursion of the soul from my body, if soul there is, and if body there is, and we're not all in a simulation. Wake up, America. Okay. Anyways, I don't want to go off tangent. Go ahead.
I do really quick. One last thing. Okay, what would be your alternate way to die? Like, what would be your second? Because we covered in the first one what your primary would be. An alternate, you want to go down, like, doing something crazy. I mean, you can always been part of that Area 51 raid.
Alternate, like, it was hard not to come up with one because, again, I discussed this on Night Terrors. I firmly believe, Grim Reaper, feel free to prove me wrong, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm calling you out. Grudge match. Here we go. Calling you out, motherfucker. What are you gonna do? I firmly believe I can't die because I've tried. Okay, and by try I mean the universe has like come swinging for me many, 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 many times. A weird number of times. Again, Night Terrors. We talk about this a little bit more. It's almost like a curse. Like there's pretty much no one who's like more like see a world than me, but there's also no one who has just like absolutely cheated death so many times. It's wild. I won't get too much into that because I would have to share some traumatic details from my career / childhood. Ain't gonna get into that. But I could see me like again petting something I shouldn't be, and
like
still like forgiving it as I expire. Oh my god, I would love a pet. See, like any you can name any horrific thing. I'd be like, I would love to pet that. Like, just let me. Something for me, it would have to be something pretty outlandish and ridiculous. But while I think about that, Rachel, do you have a second option?
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking about this. Back like a long time ago, when they were like cutting people's heads off for executions, you know, like full decapitations. I guess there was a scientist that got like, you know, scheduled to die, and he decided to tell whoever his assistant, like, when I die, I'm gonna keep, you know, after they cut my head off, I'm gonna keep blinking as many times as I think I can. And I think they said that he blinked like 8 times or something like that. So like, I feel like now I want to test that theory.
Me too, but how would you know if the test worked?
Well,
you'd be dead.
One of us would have to be, you know, but I would know because my head would be off, and I'd be like, oh, blink, blink, blink. Guess it worked. But, like, I mean, it's the last thing I get to find out.
Wow, that I can dig it. That's
I just love that you proceeded from I want to be swarmed by puppies to I want my head chopped off so I can blink as many times as I can.
That's about right.
Death by guillotine for science.
Yeah.
Brett, what's your alternate way?
My alternate would be probably like my heart giving out in coitus. That'd be great. That'd be my alternate.
Why you gotta traumatize whoever misfortunate fucker is fucking?
Yeah, well, but
or
see,
fucking
like
you.
Option 1 and option 2, either way, spontaneously combust or death during sex. Either way, I go out with a bang. So I'm sticking with those two.
Are you imagining that you're blowing Brad Pitt in this scenario?
He just said that just for the dad joke.
Whoa.
That is all that was.
No, that actually came to me after that actually was kind of on the cuff.
Yeah, I feel like you've just been holding on to
Yeah,
that
it
one.
was
Like you thought of it
completely.
like yesterday, and you've been stewing on it. Like, yes, I cannot wait to break this one
No,
out.
no, because
Six
I give you all my
episodes.
good ideas at 4 a.m. when I'm driving to work. So
In this, Brett's defense team only works at 4 a.m, which is about when I'm going to bed. So he always calls me at 4 a.m to like be like, I protest. What about the
my
Antarctica ice
defense
shelf?
team.
What about it? That just goes to the Antarctica ice shelf. He always says that just goes to, and then something fucking crazy.
There's a lot of things that are tied
So,
together. I mean, this plus this can equal this.
rewind
That's all
though.
I'm saying.
In
Okay.
your theoretical sexual death, what lucky man is fucking you?
Ooh.
I didn't say that. How dare you assume? But uh, what was that phrase in the I don't know, around 2012? There's a meme going around saying like doesn't matter, had sex, like that. Yeah, I just want that sticker and I'm good.
And that sums up Brett Sanders in one
You're
sentence.
talking
Love that.
about the one from
Love that for you.
Lonely Island. Just had sex.
Fucking. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Wow.
Andy
I
Samberg,
can't think
Akon.
of.
It's amazing. That is a beautiful. Yeah.
I think my alternate. I'm just gonna have to. I want to go full Leroy Jenkins on something or someone. Just I want to be charging headlong into some kind of fucking unwinnable battle, guns blazing. Want to go out in a pile of brass, just screaming and covered in blood, same way I came into the world. Cannot wait for that. I also thought that would happen to me before I turned 30. It has not happened, so I'm kind of reevaluating my life now.
Good for
Really didn't
you.
think I'd live this long. I need the simulation to delete my code or whatever the fuck keyword it is I gotta say here. Like, Control Alt Delete, guys. Let's go. I'm going to cram us back onto these tracks here. Just fucking. We have more of these to cover, quite a few more. This one is of particular interest to me. Particular. Mother Teresa's canonization. Okay? Okay. People have really strong opinions about when Mother Teresa was canonized as a saint. The real event happened in 2016, but many remember her entering sainthood in the 1990s when she was still alive. Have you heard of this?
No.
I call bullshit. No.
Yeah.
This one's weird to me. So I've talked to Brett about this morning. I derailed him from defending himself about his Furby phobia. And I want to do a full episode on Mother Teresa because this chick was basically a serial killer, but people like to think that she was like this super great person. But the more that you dig into her actual history, oh my god. So please stay tuned for further details about that episode that I will make happen at some point. Can't promise when. But yeah, the truth is out there. Mother Teresa, like most people involved in organized religion, was a goddamn psychopath who denied life-saving medical procedures and basic care to maybe thousands of people in the name of faith. So again, cutting off that rant real quick because I could go forever. Brett, let's hit some famous movie lines that tie back into the Mandela effect.
Sure, and all of us remember watching some of these famous movies or remembering certain lines or scenes being a certain way, and then you go back or somebody tells you like, no, it didn't happen that way. It happened like this, and then you get in an argument with a coworker or a friend, and then you go back and see that they were right, and then your whole world is just in tatters. We're going to cover some of those. So, I am your father. This is from Star Wars, and this is where a lot of people conflict or have different remembrances of this. But Jedi's on both sides of the Force might occasionally be compelled to agree, but everyone remembers this incorrectly. When Darth Vader cuts off Luke Skywalker's hand in Empire Strikes Back, he doesn't say, Luke, I am your father. Instead, he states, No, I am your father. And another side note, C3PO, the droid, has always had one silver leg and was never, in fact, all gold.
Lot to unpack
Mind
there.
blown.
Does anyone remember anything besides Luke, I am your father? That's what I
I feel like
remember.
I had the VHS, and this is my favorite Star Wars movie in the entire series. Like of all the Star Wars movies, this one's always been my favorite, and I remember it the way everybody does incorrectly, and that even goes back to my childhood.
You know, this is a weird little additional fact, but I could have sworn in the original, like old first release Star Wars, I also remember Princess Leia having like a red bikini or something in the famous scene with Jabba the Hutt, that whole section. And then later on, she had the gold bikini, right? And I don't
It was
remember
like
the
that.
gold bikini,
It was like golden Dookie Brown, like
which it's hot, but like I remember as a kid being like fucking confused. Like I thought it was red. I thought it was some other color. Like, but that's probably just me. Um,
or also those really made in China action figures that aren't the best quality probably didn't help.
I'm so glad you tied that in here because that's relevant. Um,
I,
do you
it
want to take the
is.
next one, Rachel? Did we lose Rachel's audio?
Yeah, I'm not hearing Rachel right now.
Oh no. Okay, well,
Rachel, are you with
Rachel, for
us?
some reason, we lost your audio. That's okay. Brett, you want to take that one?
Yep. The next example I'm going to give is "Play It Again, Sam." In the famous black and white movie Casablanca, this line is never said. What is said by Ingrid Bergman's character is "Play it once, Sam, for old time's sake." That messes me up. Like I remember this classic movie and with Humphrey Bogart, and I just these lines keep throwing me off.
Um, I haven't seen that enough times to know for sure. But yeah, I think it's because it's quoted so often. People say, "Play it again, Sam."
Yeah, and
That's a weird
probably
one.
people just
Rachel,
misquote
are
it and
you
just
back
keep
with
saying
us?
it over and over.
Rachel? Oh no, she's gone. We lost her. I wonder what's going on there. That's
So
okay. I'm gonna
we'll
hit the
figure
next
that
one.
out.
Brett, see if you can get Rachel back. This
Yep.
one blew my mind. Hello, Clarice was never actually said. So we don't know what's scarier, like the fact that we remember Hannibal Lecter saying specifically, "Hello, Clarice," or the reality that all he said was, "Good morning." We're talking about Silence of the Lambs, the classic, which I think everyone's seen.
Anthony Hopkins, right?
Yeah, you've seen that, right?
Yeah, no, I've seen that. I'm trying to really remember. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but I want to say that that Hello Crease. I'm trying to remember if his character actually says that, or I'm imagining he's saying that, or I've just heard other people, quoting the movie and saying that.
And that's kind of what I think a lot of these are, is that it's been misquoted in pop culture so many fucking times that we've all gotten used to the version of the line people quote or bring up, like "Hello, Clarice," which, yeah, I would have put money on that one and lost.
Yeah, I mean, and then another one's like, "We're gonna need a bigger boat." You're gonna need a bigger
Mm-hmm.
boat, is what is said by Roy Scheider's character in Jaws. I mean, instead of "we're gonna need a bigger boat," it's like "you're gonna need a bigger boat." It's just like little things where it's just off a little bit, where it's close but it's not right.
Right, and it's just one word there, but again, people know we're going to need a bigger boat, right? This is kind of like it's another one that I did not add in here, but I'm going to mention real quick. The Forrest Gump line, "Life is like a box of chocolates," that everyone quotes all the time. Apparently, what he actually says, "Life was like a box of chocolates." So it's super easy to like mishear that if that's what he said. I don't know. Again, this is making me question my already extremely spotty memory. So then I'm more likely to say, "Oh, yeah, my memory sucks," like as opposed to, "Wait a minute. I think we might have lost Rachel. Rachel, are you back? Can you hear us?" Oh, we have no
Yeah, I
audio
think she
from
can hear
Rachel.
us. Yeah, but I think we lost audio for in the Walt Disney film Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, the evil queen, she didn't say mirror mirror, she said magic mirror. I mean, and that's just, and these just keep going. Like there's just so many different examples that are just completely different than how you remember it being.
That one, yeah,
And
the
then
mirror,
so
mirror on the wall, which again is quoted all the fucking time. It doesn't
mhm.
hold up to when you go back and review. Now, again, we're talking like, is this something that we legitimately all just misremember or has been pop culturized so much that we can no longer differentiate the line that is advertised from the actual script or, alternate dimensions kind of thing.
Exactly.
Until we get Rachel back, we're going to kind of like continue her part. So I'm sorry, Rachel. I have a section called This Not That, which is just a list of things that we thought were spelled one way but aren't. So an example is Looney Tunes, not Looney Tunes like cartoons. So tunes like the music, not Looney Tunes like the cartoons. Oscar Mayer, not Oscar Mayer, so with an A, not an E. Febreze only has one E in it, not Febreze, just Febreze. And then it's Smokey Bear, not Smokey the Bear. So there's no the in his name. The Flintstones versus the Flintstones, which makes sense to me, but again, I never watched that. And then it's Jif, not Jiffy, for the peanut butter brand. That one kind of threw me a little bit.
That one messed me up on that list.
That one messed me up.
And
Yeah,
Looney Tunes.
I thought it was Jiffy.
Looney Tunes as well.
There's quite a few of these. Again, we got a never happened section, which Brett's going to take.
Well, and these are things that you remember it this way or think it happened, but it just never happened to begin with. It just never existed. The children's character in books and cartoons, Curious George, never had a tail. This one's been brought up recently, has been pretty popular, is that Pikachu never had black on his tail.
That's fucked
The
up.
this one is the one that kind of gets me. The Monopoly Man has never worn a monocle. Like I would literally go to the stake on this that he had a monocle on. I mean,
I would
just
too.
that's why I
This is fucked
remember
up.
like
This is ridiculous.
the Fruit of the Loom logo never featured a cornucopia. Like, okay, was I doing
Fake.
getting like some knockoff brand? Because I remember this. Ed McMahon never handed anyone a publisher's clearinghouse check. You know that old TV commercial. They're like, subscribe to Publishers Clearinghouse, and they show up. They come with a camera crew, and they show up with this huge, oversized check and surprise a homeowner. Get $5,000 a week for life. Well, it never happened, and he never even worked for them at all. And I feel like I've seen these commercials as a kid with him in it. So it's just, I don't know what to make of that.
These all are kind of mind blowing to me. I know Rachel has really strong feelings on that one. If she reloads her page, will she come back in with us?
She should be able to leave the studio and come back in, and we'll be okay. And that might fix it.
I'm hoping so. Hoping we can get Rachel back on with us because I know she has some really good input. I don't really know what's going on here, but speaking of what's going on here, so to understand how this phenomenon might occur, it's important to understand how the brain processes memory, okay? Because it's me. I want to get into the psychology of this shit a little bit. And I found a really fantastic article by that same Dr. Bonner Jackson guy. And he was interviewed on the Mandela Effect by the Cleveland Health Clinic, who are obviously more concerned with the psychological and physiological implications of this false memory thing than, our potential alternate dimensions kind of thing. She's back with us. Yes. So glad. I'm glad we got you back.
Hello.
I don't know what's going on. We're working on this, guys.
On this is part of doing a podcast in 3 different states. So,
and we currently now it looks like we have 4 people. That's okay. We're gonna roll with it.
No, we'll figure it out. I think it's also from her previous recording on the same track.
Hey, so. Rachel, since we have you back now, do you remember the Ed McMahon bit?
Publisher Clearinghouse.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't care what I don't care what anybody else says. The Ed McMahon, like he was there. That was always a thing. I don't.
This is just making me question so much.
Yeah. This is just people just
Um,
straight up telling lies now.
so
Like, just
He's
remember like the goofy
like Bob
smile
Barker.
and like he was always in a suit and like it was no, there's too many very distinct
this is
memories
also
for that.
confusing. And again, I am not the person
Yes,
to ask about
yes,
any of
hundred
this because
percent.
my
Yeah, that's
memory.
exactly what he looks like.
Okay, it's like a sandcastle, okay? One strong tide and that shit's washed out and you're never gonna fucking find it again. It's just gone. So I'm not the person for this, but again, we're gonna get into the psychology. I know we talked a little bit about this Dr. Bonner Jackson guy. I want a scientific explanation for things. That's just who I am as a person. I don't really believe in anything. I know I've said that a lot. I do believe that the human brain is wild and that it comes up with a lot of shit. It's basically a giant supercomputer mass of meat with electricity running through it. Brett, go ahead.
And just to clarify for our listeners, you're the resident atheist, whereas I don't want to speak for Rachel, but I believe that me and her are more on the spiritual side, not religious, but spiritual. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. I just don't. Again, my dream, one of my bucket list items is to, like, I don't know, see a ghost or get abducted by aliens. Maybe that's my alternate way to die, is getting fucking sucked up from the sky like a little moo cow and just happily disappearing to live with hopefully more intelligent creatures. Yeah, you hear that, aliens? You hear that? Probe me. See what I'm saying? So we're gonna define the creation of memory by saying that typically external stimuli like observations and experiences, things that happen to you in everyday life, they're processed by your brain as memory to be stored. You can then retrieve those memories at a later time. Again, I'm a bad example of this. None of that happens for me. We know that the hippocampus is a complex brain structure embedded deep into the temporal lobe, and it has a major role in learning and the construction of memory. And we know that memory is reconstructive as well, meaning there are a lot of influences on the way we remember things. So memory is not necessarily a carbon copy of reality. Memory is influenced by different biases, perceptions, preconceptions, and expectations. This is very true. And this means memory can change over time as a person gains more information about what happened. So take, for example, a memory you might have of a specific moment while on vacation with a friend. You both may remember different details about what happened on your trip based on your own perceptions and attention to different details. Very, very subjective. And I want to say this is something that we see examples of every single day in the law enforcement field, okay? You can ask 10 different people who are all witnesses to the same event what happened, and you're going to get 10 different stories. It's the same exact thing, when you go to court on a case years and years later, which happens all the time. It's very frustrating, especially for me who has no memory. And all I have is my report, which is why I am very anal about how I write my reports, because whatever I write down, that's it for me. Okay, that's all I got. That's it. You got to pray and hope that your audio and or video worked. And if not, what you wrote down on that page is what you're going to have maybe 4, 5, 6 years later when you're on the stand in a felony case trying to remember what happened on this specific night when you were sleep deprived and hungry 6 years ago. I wish it wasn't the case, but it is. And you're not going to be able to remember everything. Or the things you do remember might be actually different from what you wrote down on the paper, which is the more reliable recent version. So it's the same thing. Witnesses are unreliable, all that shit. And there's a lot more science for that. I am going to let Rachel take over because I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I have a question for you though on the false memory though. Well, let me get this straight. So you spend your whole day, right? You're out, you're, giving people
Oh my
tickets and
God.
everything. How many are you giving? Like, how many people are you dealing
I
with on a
couldn't even
daily basis
estimate.
when you're working?
Dozens. Dozens is a lowball estimate. I mean,
Right,
the same way that you could walk through a Walmart or a gas station
right,
and not make eye contact with anyone and not notice anyone, you can't do that in uniform, okay? So the kinds of people who would never normally interact with you are suddenly desperate to say something stupid and or ridiculous to you or interact with you in some way. So you can't even do something simple like walking through a gas station to get your Tic Tacs and your iced tea because people now want to talk to you, say something stupid to you, something negative or weird or religious or positive.
right.
So, you're going to have 8 or 9 people speaking to you just when you're walking through a gas station. So throughout the day, same thing. You're on a call somewhere. Say you get dispatched somewhere. Well, continue using Walmart. You're dispatched to the Walmart parking lot for an auto burglary. Okay, someone broke into someone's car while they were inside, and you're there to take that report. Just standing there taking that report, that person, people are going to be constantly walking up to you, trying to report other shit or say stupid shit or ask you questions. My favorite is everything okay here, officer? Like, just fuck off. Like, this is none of your business. The people getting nosy, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I just want to make sure, is there anything going on here I should know about? I'm like, no. Or I would tell you. Like, please leave me alone. Like, I'm trying to do one thing and it gets, sidelined 8 or 9 different times because people see a uniform and they either have some kind of guilty conscience thing going on, some kind of serial killer complex where they feel the need to make sure you know that they're not up to anything, or they're just nosy, or they have some kind of authority figure kink and they want to interact with you. It's weird, super weird. So the long answer.
Well, and think the combination of all of that though is that by the end of your day,
Yeah,
like you've had the experience of like 20 people. Like you've dealt with so many different things. Like all of that, our brains tend to like jumble everything together eventually. So it wouldn't surprise me if with all the stimulation that we have for our brains now with the internet and social media and everything, like I
overstimulation.
think it's a fucking miracle that anybody remembers anything
Absolutely.
because
And
we're just in
I know we're off a
constant
little bit here, but
access to information all the time. Yeah,
it's very
absolutely.
tough because it's not like
Yeah.
when I'm in uniform at work, it's not like you don't mean anything to me or this isn't important to me because it is in the moment, but then I also have to compartmentalize that and move on to the next thing very, very quickly. So for most people who encounter the police, I would say the majority of people, you are encountering them on the worst day of your life, right? For me, it's a Tuesday. And that's not to minimize what you're going through or whatever traumatic thing happened to you, but this is the what I earn my paycheck doing. Whereas for you, it is the worst thing that's ever happened to you, probably, possibly. You were either in a bad wreck, somebody that you care about or that you witnessed has deceased, or some other horror. You've been the victim of something. It's either way, it's a bad day for you in general when you meet me. For me, this is my everyday. This is my constant state of existence. Here's a really good example. Last fall, I was walking into my sheriff's office at the end of my shift with all my little paperwork and all my shit at the end of my day, ready to like go turn all my shit in and leave for the day. And this kid meets me in the entrance to the sheriff's office and he's like, and he says my name. He's like, Deputy. And I'm like, you. And he's like, I just want to say what you said to me the other day. I really took it to heart. It meant a lot to me. And I applied here and I got a job here. And I want to say thank you so much for what you said to me because it really changed the way I thought. And I decided that I want to be a better person and I want to change the world, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there staring at this kid like, who the fuck are you? So whatever bullshit came out of
Who
my
the fuck you
face
are?
changed his life. He remembered my name, which is not an easy name to remember. And I didn't even recognize him. I'm like, good job, buddy. I knew you could do it. I'm proud of you. To this day, I have no idea who he was. I don't remember meeting him. Don't remember anything. But apparently I changed his fucking life. Which doesn't sound like me, but I don't know what happened there. Like I said, for me it was a Tuesday, and that memory bank deleted that cache.
This could have been an
Dude,
alternate
you
universe
know what?
switch.
That's what
Like
I'm gonna go with from now
maybe
on.
that was the day that they
Is
turned
that
this machine
because
on or something, you
it
know?
sounds
Like
better than, hey, my brain does not work right. Sorry. But yeah, so that was a weird one for me because, first of all, again, me giving a like positively motivational speech to anyone just does not sound like me at all. Like usually if I'm giving you a moto speech, I'm also gonna make you cry. Like I'm gonna tell you exactly what a fucked up motherfucker you are. Get off your
it's
ass. Stop
like,
making
yeah.
excuses. Do the goddamn thing. Do the work. I believe in stoicism. Anyways, I'm gonna leave that tangent there. And go back into the. I'm so sorry. Yes.
Well, to my point though, I think everything is relevant. I think it's relevant to these, false memories and, you know, memory reconstruction here and
There's a
trying to
lot of
fill in
that.
the gaps of
There's
things.
so many
And
different explanations. I might,
it's just,
if
it's
I
what we do.
remember, I may throw up some links to more information about false memories, which the definition of that is just a psychological phenomenon whereby an individual recalls an event that never happened or an actual occurrence substantially different from the way it transpired. So it could be either a distorted recollection or a completely fabricated event, and that's the science behind all this shit. I'm gonna skip through all this bullshit and get to the weird shit. Brett, do you want to pick up at the weird shit?
Yeah, so we told you what science thinks, but that's no fun. The radical theories that explain the Mandela effect include conspiracies of time travel, quantum weirdness, and parallel dimensions. For example, a lot of people now believe that the many explosions inside the Hadron Collider at CERN may have opened a, quote, hole between universes, causing separate realities from each universe to intersect. These parallel worlds may have shifted into alternate patterns of existence. The Mandela effect could potentially be the leftovers or remnants of these small changes or intersecting realities.
Hmm.
Dun dun dun.
What do we think about
I
this?
mean, is that your Bernstein?
Yeah, that one I don't fucking get.
Ready for this
But we
one?
obviously cannot talk about the Mandela effect without paying a little nod to The Simpsons. And I gave
Yeah.
Rachel this part.
The Simpsons.
This is great. This is one of my favorite things whenever these pop up. So, The Simpsons is very much victim to an almost reverse Mandela effect. Um, as the long-running show has supposedly predicted everything from 9/11 to the Trump presidency, and I fucking love this so much. CERN gets wrapped up in it too. The scientists have noticed in retrospect that Homer came surprisingly close to predicting the mass of a Higgs
Highly
boson
sus.
14 years before physicists confirmed it. Suspicious. Um, highly, yeah.
Ah,
So, is it Rokotansky says that what is the Mandela effect other than analyzing pop culture? The Simpsons get drawn into so many of these
Well,
conspiracy
and
theories
but this
because
is
it's an
almost them
active
predicting
pop
the
culture.
future or future events. It's not like
Hmm.
us remembering something differently in the past. This is like a it's almost like a prophecy or something, like like a foretelling.
Right.
dude, and
But it's so specific though. It's so like just the image of like Trump going down these stairs or whatever it is. and fucking Simpsons had it, like the suit down to the details of the
So
suit.
obviously in law
That's
enforcement, we also do
that's
not
not.
believe in
I don't believe in
coincidence.
coincidence.
It's kind of like one of the guiding tenets of our religion. Okay. Um, there's a lot of theories about this, and I did throw the picture in for you guys in your outline of the Homer Simpson predicting the Higgs boson bullshit. And then it says the donut's unrelated was the caption on the photo because it also drew a donut under it. But then again, toroidal. Remember toroidal, which means having the shape of a torus, which means a ring shape? Coincidence? I think not. Anyways, what are some explanations for this? Is the Simpsons from an alternate dimension that just came here a long time ago and it's just been re-predicting our future over and over? What's happening?
And it's been on TV for what, over 30 years now? Like close to
Forever.
30? I know it's been on for a long time.
Forever.
Long time.
Do you have any theories?
Yeah.
There's too many coincidences, I think, for them to just be getting lucky consecutively. So I don't know. Like I don't know if they are somehow tapped into knowing what's happening down the road, whether that be years or months, and it's a little scary at this point how accurate some of these depictions are.
So, to kind of nutshell this, Fiona Broome, remember her name from earlier, she's the one who actually coined this term. So she had a website that kind of went viral in 2015 as people started coming together, talking to each other, and realizing, hey, a bunch of us have these mass Mandela Effect type memories. So, of course, on her website, she makes sure to talk about false memories, but then she also does suggest the alternate dimension theory, so that our universe is a virtual reality is one of her suggestions, and the false memories are just glitches in the system. A lot of people love this one too. So, to sum this up, either we're in a simulation, or it's false memories, or there's several theories claiming that the individuals who have shifted from a different parallel universe, one where their false memories were actually reality. People theorize that with each decision an individual makes, multiple alternate realities could result, each consisting of a different outcome for that decision. So it's possible some of us swap places in the mirror universe with our alternate selves, so our false memories were our reality in whatever dimension we came from, which is why some people remember X as being absolutely true and some people remember Y as being absolutely true. Maybe they're both true.
So hopefully I'm following along correctly. So you're telling me that depending on every choice you're making, whether you choose to go left or right, there's going to be an alternate reality depending upon that choice. Like those old storybooks, like you make a choice, go to page 40, you make your choice, go to page 80, that kind of thing. Like there's a different outcome for each of your choices and a different world or universe or environment for those.
Choose your own adventure type shit, yeah. Supposedly.
Interesting.
So, this is kind of like the end of this part, thank God, because there's a lot that I feel like we need to discuss now. You kind of just summed it up, to be honest, is infinite branches off of our reality where we made one decision or another decision, and then from that one we made this decision. You know what I mean? Like it's infinite. How plausible is this? Are there really that many alternate dimensions or whatnot? Who the fuck knows? Rachel, what do you think about this?
I have read theory that there's an infinite amount of universes, that every decision that we've made could
God.
Could be in its own dimension essentially.
And
And things are interchangeable. So I
now,
mean,
where does that
like
end? Is it just with us as humans having consciousness that can
possible.
experience this, or would it be also animals and insects? I mean, like if we're talking infinite, are we talking about infinite for everything? I mean,
I I don't know.
Inquiring minds want to know. I just it gets
Now,
really big really quick.
if I'm remembering
That'll make
correctly,
you
which I'm
dizzy.
probably not, because did I mention I have a memory problem? Can't remember if I mentioned that. I believe that scientists do recognize that there are at least 10 dimensions. Is that correct? So
I think it was more than that.
that's
We'll
why I
have to
said the
confirm
words
this.
at least. There's a number.
They're, they're like, well, there's at least a minimum of 10, is what they say. Well, I mean, we're not gonna ever fucking understand that. There's no way. We're
I'm gonna check
human,
this right now.
and
Like I said,
we
either on
only
this
use
episode or
10%
part
brain,
one,
apparently.
on this
So,
one or part one, we're having a coalition of countries investigating or doing tests at the LHC, and then we also are the same humanids that cannot use our turn indicators in traffic. So there's a huge gap there.
Okay, so I was right about 10. I'm gonna say this real quick. Superstring theory: 9 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time, with a possible 11th dimension proposed to answer some questions in the superstring theory. So scientists say yes, there are 10, possibly an 11th, maybe infinite. But I feel like they've, in their minds, confirmed the 10 and then are talking about this 11th one right now, which is probably why I was confused. That was the rabbit holes that I go down doing these outlines, because in my head, I want to know everything, which is funny because I can't remember anything. And then I start down these rabbit holes of, well, could there be more than 10? Are there 10? I didn't know there were 10. There's so much going on here. And Brett. Are we in an alternate dimension?
Yes, ma'am.
We are. You said that so fucking
I feel like that's
confidently.
subjective.
Okay.
I feel like that's subjective. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Rachel?
It's a theory.
I don't think it's that simple. You see, a lot of people think of everything as linear. So they think of a plane of existence, it's flat, and then above that is another plane, and above that is another plane. When
Imagine like a
what's
sewing
part of
machine
what
where
they
it
talk
goes in
about
and
with
out.
string
There,
theory is that it's literally like it interweaves itself.
it weaves through
So
depth.
right,
Okay.
yeah. So it's like
So
sometimes part
right
of this
now,
reality is here, and right, yeah. I don't think it's just that it's one thing. I don't think of like we're just boxes
so you
near each
believe
other.
that
I think it
that
interweaves at
portion
times, and
of
that's where you get the Mandela
us
effect of,
switching places
well, I remember
from maybe
this, and
either black holes or something has caused some of us to switch places in alternate dimensions. So you believe that? Okay, Brett, what do you believe?
I'm more of the mindset that someone remembers a movie or a song or whatever may be incorrectly, and then they quote it incorrectly, and then everybody just goes along with it. Like, yeah, a memory gets altered,
Hold on.
and it could be like somebody that has like a.
I need a bell to ring if we think we just agreed on something for the first fucking time. Can't have that, Brett. Can you say something a little more tinfoil hat?
So
oh no.
no, I think that there are some things that I very vehemently will say that I remember it being this way, but everything in my current reality or our current reality is saying no, that did not happen. And so I'm still going through processing that and coming to terms with it. But it's from what I can tell from the neurons firing that this is reality and this is like how it was, and I have to accept that. So
that's a weirdly mature thing for you to say. That's what I appreciate about you. Rachel, do you have any final thoughts for us before we wrap this up? Anything is possible.
I don't think anything is possible. I don't think anything can be. I don't think anything can really be,
You know what I'm writing
written
off is
off,
that one weird fucker I
well,
met at the
anything.
sheriff's
except
office
flat
who
Earth.
I don't
Flat Earth is
remember,
not a
but
fucking
okay.
thing.
Brett.
speaking of anything is possible, so the spaghetti scenario in the break room at CERN is in the cards.
On that note, let me go off to a Florida
Just
them.
saying.
This is one I believe that we tried to hit on our last attempt recording this, which is Florida man attacks a diner at a restaurant with a fork because of noisy kids. Love this, love it. So, Joseph Vatter became agitated by the noise when dining out at a restaurant, and he told the father to shut his kids up. That didn't go over well. So they were trying to, the guy and his wife are there with their kids, trying to keep them calm, and this guy kind of gets rowdy, and he apparently thinks the best way to settle this when the kids will not be quiet, this Joseph Vatter motherfucker, he picks up a fork and starts threatening this guy, threatens to stab him in the throat, and apparently actually followed him out into the parking lot where he smashed the victim's car window and continued to threaten to stab him, at which point my fellow, I guess, ACABs got involved and took this guy to jail for attempted fork homicide. It's a new one for me. That's a new one for me.
Forkery.
I love Florida, man. What a wild... Yeah. Aggravated forkery. Guilty. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
And what kind of restaurant was it?
I don't know. Oh. No, doesn't
I just imagine a buffet.
It was a wasabi steakhouse. I don't know what that is, but it sounds spicy.
Okay. That would be spicy.
Guys, thank you so much for bearing with us through both the fun shit, the weird shit, the ragging on Brett, the comparing me to interdimensional hell beings, Rachel being beautiful and perfect because she can do no wrong. For those of you who are not watching the video, she's wearing this really pretty bright red lipstick. I can't look away. I'm hypnotized. I really want you guys to go follow us on Instagram. What do I have to do? I took my titties out on Instagram. My titties are out on Instagram. Go look. Follow us while you're there.
I don't want to hear this.
Brett, shut up. Do it for the gram. Do it for the gram, guys. Because Brett will eat a bug when we get to 100 followers, and I really want to see that happen. So make that happen for me, please. And we will next be doing an episode on what, Brett?
We are going to be covering sovereign citizens.
Love that.
Also on the docket, we have the fake moon landing coming up, and we also have flat Earth coming up shortly.
I love how he said the fake moon landing.
So we have some fun debates.
Let me reword. Was the moon landing faked? Find out with us next time on the No Fly Zone podcast.
Tomato.
Stop. I hate you.
Thank you all. This is... All right, thank you, listeners, for sticking with us. As always, we hope to see you on our next episode. Please give us feedback on the socials. Give a like, a follow, a bell, a star rating on Spotify. We also on Anchor and Google Podcasts now. So thank you for going on this journey with us. Can't thank you enough.
I can.
Casey, I'll see you. And Rachel, I'll see you next episode that we have you. Thank you for being on with us tonight.